where I am reading all of Eden by FREI live on Facebook and on YouTube, with recorded clips making their way onto Instagram, IG, TV. We find ourselves by now in the second half of Sedartis being volume 8 of the series, of the published series, and this is the first and only one of these short literary interludes that we come across every so often. You may remember, if you've been following this, or if you're new to this, I'll tell you now that normally these volumes have chapters, and then every so often you come across something that isn't quite a chapter, but it belongs there. It has its own reason to be there. It's maybe not quite part of the overall narrative of the volume, but it has a purpose, and that's why it's there. But it's not so much a chapter as what I like to refer to as a literary interlude. And in Sedartis, there is exactly one, and this is the one. It's the first and only one, and it's called The Silk Road. How did I get here, to this point where Sedartis by my side? I find myself gazing out of moving trains, over picturesque lakes, wondering, how did I get here? This is a change of mode, this pondering. Is it my midlife? Is this my crisis? If so, it is mild in the extreme. Contradictions in terms. My overall state is snug within myself. My friends, my family, I live to love, not to loathe, so I tell myself, and so I feel, and so I largely, modestly believe I do. I anger slowly, try to forgive fast. I sense the present now much more than I used to. I may just have caught up with myself, and that's the keenest source of surprise. Hello, here I am. How did I get here? The route my father took, from Talwil, where he was working for a textile company making specialist threads and yarns, I believe, not silk as such, it's more of a metaphor this, to Manchester, where I was born, to Goldach, where I have my first faint memories of a long balcony and Aldo, our dog, to Arlesheim, where I went to kindergarten, and Basel, where from Arlesheim I commuted to school. Then Münchenstein, where I finished school and made friends I love to this day, to London, where I'm at home. Or does it start with Berlin, whence my grandmother left at the age of 18, crossing into Switzerland and to Zurich, where she met my grandfather? That may be the preamble. There's a separate story here, and it's beautiful, but it needs to be told elsewhere. The question perhaps is not, how did I get here? The question perhaps is simply, what next? Whither wilt thou, now thou art here? Not geographically speaking, of course. Geography matters less and less. I am at home in London, but I can be and be happy almost anywhere, as long as I'm warm, have access to food now and then, and my laptop at hand with power to last, and a decent network connection. I find myself sitting next to a beautiful woman called Carmen, spelt with a K, at a film festival in northern Italy, and she asks me what my next project is. I list 4 that I consider current. It strikes me that this may be a lot. Then again, I have always conducted my journey along multiple tracks. Even when I decide to just concentrate on the one thing, my curious mind and my eagerness to experience tend to open up another avenue soon. I am fine with that too. It may be that the journey that follows many roads is bound to go on many detours and therefore takes longer to reach any kind of destination. But then, what is the destination? Is there one? Ought there to be one, even? Or is it not much more, as many say and everyone knows, the trip alone that truly matters? As I talk to Carmen and tell her what I'm up to right now and what I expect to do in the very foreseeable future, I realise that everything I've done and written and directed and made and learned so far has been, most likely, not much more than the apprenticeship, because I sense, so I tell her, because I do, that the real task, the real challenge, the real mountain to climb and the real work lies just ahead. We're in the chink of an exponential curve that is about to go virtually vertical, and this means we'll not only have new stories to tell, we'll need whole new ways of telling these stories and to make sense of them. Serious storytelling that counts, as my philosopher friend, not Sedartis, a friend of mine who is a real bona fide and professional academic philosopher, puts it. I never get bored, I tell Carmen, because, as I have a feeling I've mentioned before, if you watch paint dry close up enough, it's actually riveting. What I'm really most excited, most thrilled, most ecstatic about is that we're on the verge of understanding ourselves and how we're connected completely afresh. That the dimensions that hitherto have been considered effectively spiritual and esoteric are coming in touch with the principles of quantum mechanics, and we'll find, so I'm sure, that we can explain in scientific terms things that until less than a generation ago we thought either unfathomable or simply hokum. They will turn out to be neither. Look at me now, and here I am, I say to myself once again in the words of Gertrude, and I take a sip of the wine that fills me with a glow of happiness. These people, these good souls, this world that we live in, these paths that we choose or think we choose, these connections we make and that make us. I'm in the right place at the right time. I may not know it yet, but I sense it for sure. And that's it for today and for this week. It being Wednesday, we continue on Monday. I'm doing this on a Wednesday and on a Monday at 6 p.m. BST, British Summer Time. So join me again if you can when you find the next episode. And until then, take good care, love and let love.